Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to Roseburg Speaker and Storytellers. Everybody is a Toastmaster here, so I guess we will just get started. Let's do it. Let's begin. First of all, Mr. President, your opening remarks.
Thank you, Ayu. Welcome. We're actually here at 7 o'clock Pacific time. Daylight savings time. Of all the stupidity that our forefathers came up with, I think this is the epitome. Let's change the clocks and add an hour of daylight. How about let's negotiate with the sun and see if we can get an extra hour of sunlight from the sun? You guys are in the tropics, don't care, I know. Anyway, it's just one of those things where you shake your head and go, why are we doing this? And why is everyone off kilter? But here we are. It is 7 o'clock. It is time for another rousing meeting of Roseburg speakers and storytellers. We have a special Toastmaster today, all the way from England, where I think they're still on regular time. What a concept. Christina, the meeting's all yours. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Tiger. Well, welcome to everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. It's my pleasure to be your guest Toastmaster. And today we have a theme. Tomorrow is National Panda Day. And just in case anybody isn't sure, we have a picture up there. So I have some fun facts about pandas, which are going to be interspersed through the meeting. And unless we get some more people, we may have more panda facts. So to start off with, they're an endangered species. There are less than 2,000 giant pandas in the wild. They're in 6 provinces in south central China, mainly in nature reserves. And there's only 26 zoos around the world that actually have giant pandas. So it's not that easy to go see them. I was really lucky. I've seen them twice. I went as a kid to London Zoo and it was a delight. And then I went back in my 20s and that's one of the photos that I took. So now it's time for me to introduce my wonderful team. And to support me throughout the meeting, we start off with our guest grammarian. And I'd like you to introduce you, please, to Chris Lloyd-Davison. Please welcome Chris.
Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster. And also echoing good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody. And like Madam Toastmaster, I'm also joining from the UK. You will see that I put the word of the day as my name. So I am no longer Chris Lloyd-Davison. My name is now Efficacious WOD, which of course stands for word of the day. Today's word of the day is efficacious, and I'm going to put a more detailed description right now in the chat box. Efficacious, of something inanimate or abstract. It means successful in producing a desired or intended result. Effective. An example. This treatment was efficacious in some cases. The idea behind me changing my name to the word of the day is that you will all be able to see it without needing to look in the chat box. And so hopefully that will mean that it will be more widely used today compared to the last time I did a word of the day in another club when only a couple of people used it. So this is an idea that I've had, and I've got my fingers crossed that it will work. So I'm hoping that you will use it lots today, and I will be making notes of those who do use the word of the day. Of course, in the correct context, if somebody just goes something, 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 efficacious, something, something, I won't count that word of the day, that's cheating. So let's try and use it properly. And of course, the actual meaning is there in the chat box should you need to be reminded. Talking about pandas, I too have seen pandas, like Madam Toastmaster, been lucky enough to see them in person. I went to Chengdu in China in 2010, and the Panda Sanctuary is just outside of Chengdu. So perhaps I can post some of my own photos later if anybody would be interested to see them. It was a truly wonderful moment in my life. And the other Wallace grammarian is, of course, to look out for good usage and bad usage of the English language. I'll be making note potentially of some nice usages of rhetorical devices, and also when there are grammatical mistakes made, I will be making note of them as well. Good luck, everybody. Please use efficacious lots today. I want to hear it being used. And then back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Chris, for that very comprehensive introduction. IU's waving at me. Okay. I'm just about to introduce our next role holder, who is multitasking, as women are wont to do. And IU has commented about real-life pandas that they're actually not as cute as they are in the pictures. They're big and they eat a lot. And she's absolutely right, they do. They eat 15% of their body weight in bamboo every day, and they can eat for over 12 hours a day. So I could almost be a panda. And the other thing is pandas have, instead of 5 digits, they have a 6th digit, which is like another thumb. So it's a very efficacious way of rolling the bamboo to be able to eat more at once. So I'd like to now introduce you to IU, who's going to be our counter and our timer to introduce her role today. Please welcome IU.
Hi everyone, I will be your counter and timer today. And as counter, I will take notes of the filler word that we will use, or probably not, I hope, during the meeting. And I will report that at the end of the meeting. Why we need a counter? Because we want to learn to not doing the filler word and instead using pause in our speech. And as timer, I will use these 3 color papers. And on this is the minimum, or you are good to still to go. And this will be your perfect time or target time. And this red will be your maximum time. All the speeches will have 30 seconds to wrap up, allowing 30 seconds to wrap up. And for today we have 2 speakers. The first speaker will be on 12 minutes. So I will give 10, 11, and 12. 10 is green, yellow is 11, and 12 is red. Is that okay with you, Tiger? Okay, so for Melva is 5 to 7 minutes. It will be normal, 5, 6, 7. And on topic, 1 minute, 1 minute 30, and 2 minutes, and evaluation 2 to 3 minutes. 2 to 30 and 3 will be the red one. Back to you, Christina.
Thank you, IU, for that very comprehensive introduction. And next up, I'd like to introduce, please, our general evaluator to explain her role for the evening, or for the morning. Please welcome Mary Pearson.
Thank you, Toastmaster today. My role as the general evaluator will be to lead the evaluation portion of our meeting, and I will do that later in the meeting. And then at the end, to give a summary of how the meeting went, things that we did well, and things that we can do to improve in future meetings. So that is my role as a general evaluator. Back to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Fabulous, thank you, Mary. Well, our meeting today is in 3 parts, and the first part is we have 2 prepared speeches. The second part is table topics, and then the third part is going to be the evaluation section. So is the agenda posted in the chat? Perfect, thank you. So I'm going to introduce our first speaker. But first off, can I just confirm, Yasmin, that you're ready to be the evaluator for the first speaker?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Our first speaker is our experienced president, Tiger. And Tiger commented that he'd seen several pandas at Portland Zoo when he was a kid. And he remembered the panda youth who would roll around on his belly and then lay on his back with his legs in the air. And he'd make sounds like a little kid laughing. And I thought, how cute is that? So Tiger's presenting a level 5 elective, which is engaging with humour. And with his speech title, Using Humour in Storytelling, please welcome Tiger McAndy.
Before you judge a man, walk a mile in his shoes. At that point, what do you care? You're a mile away and you have his shoes. Humor is fun. It's also an efficacious way to improve your storytelling. And it turns out the best methodology of humor in storytelling is to laugh at yourself. Now, I'm no expert, but let me share with you some of the things that I've learned about how to best implement humor into storytelling, strategies that you can laugh at yourself and improve the story itself. One strategy is to use jokes or humorous quotes. Let's say you're going to give a speech about being stuck at home and bored during COVID. You could use this quote by A.A. Milne. People say nothing is impossible, but I do nothing every day. Now, the key is you want the quote or the joke to be short and you want it to be appropriate to the topic. Other ways to get people to laugh is dialogue. Dialogue can be a very humorous way to engage people. Let me give you an example. I was telling a story about my relationship with my mom. When I was 7 years old, I gave my mom a football, an American football for Christmas. I remember being in the store with my brother and I came up to him, Duff, look, I got Mom a football for Christmas. Mom loves football. Tiger, you're an idiot. By the way, that was one of her favorite gifts ever. Now, there are other ways about going about humor. We have a stage. Zoom has limited our stage. I mean, I feel like I'm in a box here. But this now is our stage, and it can be used for physical humor. Let me give you an example. I'm going to use two things here. I'm going to use the power of three, which is a powerful way to tell a joke or to create humor. And I'm also going to use my stage. This was in a speech I heard recently. This was the beginning. When I was a child, I fell off the tricycle many times. When I was a teenager, I fell off the bike many times. When I was an adult, I fell off the wagon many times. Now, this may not be outlandish, out loud laughing humor. However, I thought this was a brilliant way to start out a very serious speech. As you can imagine, this was a speech about a man dealing with alcoholism. Two things I did there. Number one, I used the power of three, and I used my stage. He was a little kid, he was a teenager, he was an adult. The power of three, the third thing, using the same wording, but a different concept. Now, the other way to use the power of three is to use the same concept 3 times in a speech. One of my favorite speeches I've ever done was about a job I got in Alaska. When I got off the plane, I was greeted by a short man. His name was Eskimo Joe. Eskimo Joe did not have very many teeth. He took me into the chow hall and handed me a plate of salmon. Eat fish. It turns out he was my boss. The next day at the cannery, he handed me this giant knife, took me to the table, cut fish. Several days later, a large boat pulled in to the dock, loaded with king salmon, fish bigger than I am. He had me jump down into the boat, handed me an implement, push fish. So I used this 3 times, got a few laughs, and it was actually an important part of the story. So the power of 3, you can use it just in language, or you can use it 3 times during the speech. Now, physical humor. I love physical humor. When I'm on stage, I run back and forth, I dive down on the stage, I go out in the audience. By the time I am done with my physical humor, I am sweating. Right now, I'm sweating just because I'm nervous. But when I do my stage act, I'm sweating because of the activity. People complain about Zoom. I get it. We're kind of in this box. So here's a couple of strategies I have for you in terms of using physical humor. First of all, you mark out your stage. I have a wall here. I know I'm almost off camera. I have a chair right here. I know I'm almost off camera. I have my green screen back here. There's nothing fancy. I'm using a regular PC. I'm using a $20 green screen. You don't have to have a fancy setup, but what you do need to know is your space. One advantage of Zoom. I am right now, unfortunately for you, only a few feet away from you. You can see my facial expressions. You cannot do this with an audience. And so you can use that. You can come right in and make a really important point, and then you can back off. So you can use your space in and out. You can use your space side to side. Physical humor is more of a challenge. So let me show you something I did in a speech when I was working in the woods, talking about things that I had learned. There I was, taking a nap under a large fir tree. And all of a sudden I heard chee-chee-chee-chee-chee-chee-chee-chee. And I look up, and there were some squirrels. They started dropping cones on me. I'm like, oh yeah, well, let's take care of that. Now, it's a challenge to be that physical and still stay on camera. By the way, getting into a squirrel fight with cones, getting in a cone fight with squirrels, not the best strategy. I did learn a lot of things about squirrels that summer, though, and that you'll have to hear that speech in order to get that information. So again, the physical comedy is fun. You are limited, but again, use your stage, forward, back, side to side. Use your facial expressions. Come in, use your facial expressions. You can get people to laugh just by having fun with it. So let me sum this up. Humor is an excellent way to improve your storytelling. It engages with your audience, and the most valuable type of humor is to laugh at yourself. It makes you vulnerable, and it will connect you with your audience. There are several ways to go about implementing humor. Jokes and short quotes, as long as they're brief and are on task with your speech. You can use dialogue, keep your dialogue short, and you have to make sure there's a significant difference between the two characters. Side to side, use a different voice, look down, look up. There's all kinds of ways to go about it. Physical humor is fun. You have to practice with your Zoom and your space, but it can be done. I encourage you, use humor in your storytelling. It will improve it and it will make it more engaging and entertaining for your audience. Back to you, Miss Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, Tiger. What a fabulous way to explain humor to us, and what lovely examples. I was taking notes there, I was busy. So back to our panda theme. Our pandas are shy, solitary animals, but they can swim and they can climb trees. Sometimes they like to take a nap up a tree. Did you know that all pandas are on loan from China? The loan agreement states that if any cubs are born, they're the property of the Chinese government and they have to be shipped back. Okay, they're allowed to spend a little time with their mother first and to grow. But it's to help with the conservation, because panda breeding is a very specialized science. So now it's time for us to move on to our second speaker, and our second evaluator. Hello, Ram.
Hello.
Are you set to go as the second evaluator?
Yeah, yes, I am. Yeah, sorry, my apologies. I didn't realize about the daylight saving time. Sorry, I apologize.
Thank you. So our second evaluator is going to be Ram Nataki, but our second speaker is the lovely Melva, and she's going to be talking about innovative planning, level 1, project 3, and her speech is entitled Batak El Ethnic. Please welcome Melva Putri.
Can I share my screen? Okay. Do you see my screen? Okay, well. Hi everyone, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, fellow Toastmasters and dear guests. As you know, I come from Indonesia. Indonesia is rich with ethnic and culture. It's about 714 ethnics and 1001 local languages. One of them exists where I stay right now. Yeah, Pematang Siantar. Based on 2010 census, population Batak ethnic in here is 53%. Most people around me are Batak ethnic and use their local language. So how about me? Can I speak a local language? Absolutely not, even if I've been here for 3 years. Well, I will share with you 3 things about their tradition. First, songkat. The dress that I wear right now is one of pride in tradition of Batak. This is songkat. Songkat is used for special moments like wedding and mourning. Songkat has unique complexions, and every complexion represents history of Batak. For making one songkat, spend time for 1 week. It's a long day because it's handmade by weaving yarn. So let's go to the village. We can find this house traditional of Batak ethnic. We can find this house just 30 minutes from Pematang Siantar. This house like a hut, but don't underestimate, they have small farm. And if you can see, they have unique rooftop, sharp rooftop. And if you see the detail, they have underspace on the floor. The function is to keep their pet, their food, and anything. And if you can see as detail, they put head of animals like buffalo on their walls. So even their house like a hut, as I know, their biggest priority is how to put their children in university. One more time. They have a lot of rice. The second is their geography. This is the Toba Lake. Toba Lake is the largest lake volcanic in the world. This is the famous place in here. If you can see, all around our greens, we can enjoy the sunset, the sunrise, we can relax, and the weather is nice. It's about 19 Celsius, the weather in here. So this place is crowded when holiday comes. Many tourists and locals visit this place. Next, their tradition wedding. Yeah, this is Batak wedding. They have unique dress. Some cat always use for the wedding. And the unique part is man has last name Saragi cannot get married with woman has last name Saragi too. We cannot love each other because they have same last name. They think they are family. And the second, the wedding of Batak always crowded. It's about 1,000 guests. I get surprised at my first time to come their wedding, really. I ever asked the guests, why your wedding always crowded? They told me, we always respect invitation. We have to come to invitation, wedding, and mourning. Oh, gal, I got knowledge about it. Okay, this is the last. This is the traditional dance of Batak ethnic. Yeah, they always use this for special moments, like I said. Turtle dance use some cat also. I will show the turtle dance. Please enjoy.
That's why it's not moving. That's why it's not moving.
Well, this is the tradition of Batak. Batak ethnic is one of unique culture in Indonesia. Their tradition, their language are unique. Even they speak so loud, I really enjoy to live in here. I'm blessed I live here because I get more experience. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you ever go to Indonesia, would you like to visit Pematang Siantar? Horace, back to you, Christina.
Thank you, Melva. What a beautiful presentation. And I loved your lovely Sangha demonstration. What expensive weddings they've got out there. Can you imagine? So, what's my magical panda fact for now? Wild pandas have a lifespan of 20 years, but actually they last longer in captivity because their food has a bit more nutritional value, because it isn't just all that bamboo, but it's 95% bamboo. But they can last out to about 30 years in captivity. The average male can grow to 6 foot in length and weigh in at 100 kilos, and that's 220 pounds. So they're big, not quite so cuddly. So next it's time for our fun participative part of the morning, I have to say. I keep forgetting that it's not evening. And for that, we have our table topics master. So I'd very much like to welcome to the stage to explain her role and to perform the table topics session. Please welcome Shilpa Singhal. Please welcome Shilpa.
Thank you, Christina. This is a different meeting. We're talking about pandas. In our table topic session, we'll continue with the themes and expand it to other animals beyond pandas. But then what is table topic session? You come to a meeting and you get to practice your impromptu speaking skills in Toastmasters. In life, we come across many situations we have to speak on the fly. Toastmasters prepares us for situations like this. And today, I will be giving you some questions and inviting our members and guests to speak for 1 to 2 minutes on these topics. Now let's turn things up a little differently. I'll be sharing my screen with you and we'll start with a little game today. Yay, do you all see this? Okay, so let's go for a spin first, and then I'll call upon members and guests to speak on one of these. Do we have any volunteers who would like to tell us about their encounters? Anyone who has had any encounter with a shark? I hope not, but is there someone who would like to take that up? 1, 2, 3.
Can I?
Sorry?
Can I?
Yes, sure. Please share us.
It seems like I'm so great, yeah, as a counselor, and then I would like to have topic, but yes, I would like to talk about the shark. I am a diver, so that's why I have some encounter with shark, and they actually very mild, especially here in the Indonesian water. The one in South Australia is quite wild, so we need to be careful. But the one here in Indonesia, most of them is not so aggressive. Most of them, they're afraid with human, because some of the one that encounters me that time is just like not so big, but as long as you are calm, and as a diver we've been taught to dive slow, so it will not have, it will not attract any shark, because shark will just react to something that moves fast and blood, and that's all. So it was a pleasant moment when I saw them really near, because it's just amazing how they move graciously along with the wave or the undercurrent, and how strong they are when we try to move forward and they just like pass you, and we were just like, "What?" Something like that. So shark is actually very beautiful creatures, and as they actually will not attack us if we're not doing anything, we not move so fast. The safest place to see is probably the aquarium, even though I don't like the aquarium. Back to you, Silva.
Thank you, Ayu. That was something different. We always fear shark, but you brought to light a different aspect, the grace and the agility of sharks to us. A very good start. And now we'll follow suit. One more spin comes here. Oh my gosh, we have snakes. Now this is also someone. Anyone who would like to share their experience with snakes here?
I would.
Or
It's Michelle.
Hey, Michelle, please go on.
Yes, let me. Okay. Okay, where did the screen go? I can't see. I'm hoping that I can see the rest of the people. Okay, so I volunteered to speak about snakes because I am petrified of snakes. I petrified literally. I freeze. I can't move when I see snakes because I'm so scared. But I realized that this is not a healthy phobia. It is way beyond, especially because I'm from the Philippines and there are so many snakes in the Philippines. So I started working on what the psychologists call systematic desensitization. I know it's a very long word, but that means that you gradually try to expose yourself to whatever it is that you're trying to no longer fear so much. So I worked on it. I'd go to a snake display as long as it had glass and look at it and even try to tap the glass a little bit. And by the way, I can't see the timer. All I see is that. So I can't see the timer. So just give me a visual of where's the timer. Okay. So anyway, ultimately in 2010, my kids said, well, we're going to visit this island in the Philippines called Bohol. And they had back then the largest python in the Philippines. And when I saw it, it looked like big truck tire. But I said, I am here. I have to touch this thing. But I told everybody behind me, back up, because if this thing moves, I'm just going to run. I'm not going to care who I'm hitting. I'm just going to run. But anyway, I went up to the snake and I touched it, just a little bit of a touch. And it was actually not slimy. It was actually kind of dry. But anyway, so that's my experience. And I will find that picture of me touching the python and share with the club some other time. That was my experience with the snake, the animal that I fear the most. Back to you, Shilpa.
Thank you, Michelle. See, we should all try to encounter and face our fears sometime. Good job doing that, Michelle. I would like to add here that in stable topics, the timer gives you a green light at 1 minute, yellow light at 1 minute 30 seconds, and a red light at 2 minutes. So you should try to keep your speech within that range. We will go for a spin again. I would invite our test Rukia and Kushi to participate and volunteer. Okay. Why this? Okay. We'll go once more.
If I can speak on snake, will it be okay?
Oh, you wanted to speak on snakes.
Yeah, because I had an an experience with the snake, so it would be easier for me to speak on that.
Yes, please. I cannot see who's speaking. Please tell your name and speak about snakes.
So I guess you volunteered me only, like Khushi,
Okay.
if I'm not wrong.
Yes. So this is our guest Kushi speaking for us. Please tell us about your encounter about snakes.
So yeah, basically, I'm from India, and over here I live in a society wherein it's a farmland. So when I shifted over this place, so this place doesn't have many residents at that time. So we often had a lot of occurrence of snakes, different kind of snakes at our houses. And at first we used to feel very scared on the happening or the occurrence of the snakes. And we used to call people around to come and, save us from the snake. But then I realized one thing and I noticed one thing. As the people were shifting to our place and the people were coming and living with us, like more number of residents and people are coming to live in the same society. I guess the animals which were coming into our land were sort of getting scared from the human activities and the humans around them, and they sort of going away from the place where they used to live. So it's like a vice versa. We think that we are scared from them, but it happened the other way around. When they were aware of the human activities happening around them, so they got scared and they moved to some other places. So yeah, that's all.
Thank you for sharing your experience. It's true that humans at time encroach into the habitats of animals. And now we will go for one more spin here. Oh, butterfly. Who would like to talk about butterflies here? Any encounters? No one here? On a count of 1, 2, 3, I'll spin again. Kangaroos. I would invite someone to tell us about their encounters with kangaroos. Anyone? If you saw it at a zoo or at a park. Okay, on a count of 3, I will go for a spin and call for a volunteer, call for a speaker.
So I'll be glad to do the butterfly one if that's okay.
Yeah,
trying to
go
give
ahead.
Jess the opportunity. This is Mary.
Yeah, Mary, please tell us about
The butterfly has this is Mary Pearson, and I'm talking to you from outside of Washington, D.C. in the United States. And butterflies have a big significance here in the United States. It's not only just a beautiful thing, but it's a symbol of like freedom and peace. A lot of people cherish butterflies. They have little bushes called butterfly bushes that will attract the butterflies. Of personal significance, the butterfly means a lot to me because my mother loved butterflies. And so whenever we would find something, a picture or a cup or something with butterflies, we'd say, oh, we made us think of our mom. And I say I have 5 brothers. And so butterflies, I associate with my mother. And she's passed away now. So whenever I see a butterfly or see an item with butterflies on it, it brings that memory up of my mother. So for me, a butterfly is just a beautiful insect and certainly one to be treasured. But for me personally, I treasure it because of the association with my mother. Back to you, Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Mary. Such a wonderful way to remember your dear mom. I remember visiting Butterfly House once in Michigan, but yes, they are indeed beautiful. Let's go for one more spin here. Alligator. Did someone have an encounter with alligator? Rukia, you or someone else would like to share that experience? Okay.
I think I could share something, Shilpa.
Yes, Federico, please go ahead.
When
Sorry.
yeah, when I was when I was a teenager, my mom used, well, the person is still alive, my mom not, but that her friend was, I would say, a very exotic woman. She had a lot of animals. And one day she said, well, we're gonna go to my new park. Okay, let's say she bought a huge piece of land where she had a lot of cows, peacocks, and a lot of nice animals. In a moment, her son said, well, now we're gonna go to the river. Yeah, but what are we gonna see in the river if everything is cool and nice here? You have a lot of animals. Yeah, you're gonna see my new pet. And they show us a massive alligator of over 2 meters. We're like, what is doing this animal here? Well, it just appeared 2 nights ago, and since we give him food, it stay here. Why didn't you call the police? Why? It's a nice pet that we have here. It's something that, well, if a robber comes to visit us, we already have a new protector that is cheaper and free, and it will have a lunch. I'm not sure if the alligator is still there, but something that is for sure is that if the alligator anytime had a visit, for sure, it had more than a lunch.
Thank you. Are you done, Federico?
Yes, Shilpa.
Thank you, Federico. What a story. I'm sure. I hope they don't take their alligator for evening walks. Right now, we had some good stories. Miss Timer, do we have time for one or two more?
Actually, now we are at 10:49, so we only have one more minute left, so I guess not.
Okay, very well. Thank you. And I will stop sharing my screen. Thank you all for participating. Talking about pandas, the last thing I would like to tell you about the great pandas, it has a cousin called red panda. And you should try Googling and learning a little bit about it. That's also a fascinating animal. Back to you, Christina. Thank you.
Thank you, Shilpa. That was a fabulous session. And what interesting experiences everybody's had. I'm absolutely intrigued. So now it's time to move on to the next stage in our meeting for the evaluations. So for that, I'd like to call upon our general evaluator to take over the evaluation section of the meeting. Please welcome back to the stage, Mary Pearson.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day. And once again, my role will be to lead the evaluation feedback portion of our meeting. And the whole purpose of Toastmasters is for us to practice our speaking and communication and leadership skills so that we become an efficacious, better resulting speaker and communicator. I'm sorry, I tried really hard to use that word. So I'd first like to call upon our first evaluator to give his efficacious evaluation of Tiger to help him to improve. And our evaluator is Yasmin Telwala. Yasmin, over to you.
Thank you very much, the General Evaluator. It's indeed a pleasure to evaluate Tiger's speech, and that too for level 5. So definitely it was one of the most challenging projects for him. What did we hear to begin with? We definitely heard the different styles of humor. We know how we can engage audience in storytelling now, and why it is important to have humor in storytelling. Well, we also learned the difference between physical and virtual humor, the challenges that virtual space has, and also the opportunities that virtual space bring it out. Didn't the speaker explain it also very well to us? Yes, indeed. It was a very well thought through and structured speech. And what made it exemplary, or to say most efficacious, was how the speaker substantiated each and every point he wanted to make through an example, be it the use of the power of 3 moving along the 3 sides of the screen with the change in the voice tone, or the physical expression or the facial expressions that he brought in. So when we were seeing it all, how did we feel? We felt very engaged. And the particular example of the squirrel, the fight of squirrel and the cone has remained with us. He visualized it. So he helped us visualize it so very well. How did we feel? To begin with, there was a quote, so it engaged us outrightly. We were motivated at the end because we were completely convinced why it is so much important to have humor. Well, the message was clear and re-emphasized. Yes, it was. And he summarized it also towards the end. What is it that the speaker could have done better? What is it that Tiger could have had done better? Somehow, I found his face hazy. I'm not sure it was something that happened only to me, but his background was clear and his face was hazy. I'm assuming it was the contrast between the background and the face. If it is something that you all did not witness, I am not sure, could be something at my end. So I leave this point open, but I have something important to say. Tiger, you could have engaged us because it was level 5. We would have loved to be engaged more in your speech. How you could have done in 5 to 7 minutes. Perhaps you could have narrowed down on the range of subject you have. You could have centered your speech around one topic, say the power of 3, and you could have re-emphasized, focused on that and tried to involve us. And we could have also felt like we contributed while we were learning together through you. On the whole, I must thank Tiger for such an educational speech, and we look forward to hearing many more. Thank you, and back to you, General Evaluator.
Okay, that was an excellent evaluation, Yasmin. Thank you for the advice that you provided to Tiger, and we can all take some tips from that. Now, our second evaluator, Ram Nataka, did I say that correctly? And he will be evaluating our second speaker, which was Melva Putri. Over to you, Ram.
Great. Thank you very much, Mary. Yeah, it's my pleasure to evaluate Melva's speech on Batak ethnic. Yeah, what I really loved was, I loved the presentation and the pictures. There was quite some really amazing pictures of the wedding, pictures of the beautiful volcanic lake. It's all something I think I've never seen anything. I didn't know anything about this culture, about any of it. So it really was quite interesting to me. She talked about the weddings and how they're a minimum of 1,000 people. Wow, that's amazing. And I love the costume, the colorful costumes and the rules. You know, if you're under 30, you can't marry someone who's less than 32. And I love those little nuances that Melva brought about living in the area. And yeah, I thought it was quite a fascinating presentation that she had. The other thing I really like about Melva's speech is just she's so easy to listen to. She's not in a rush. She speaks just very matter-of-factly, very genuinely, and I think that's really engaging. You can see it's just the real Melva just talking and in a relaxed tone, not in a hurry, and telling her story and telling her experiences. And I think that the way she speaks is just very engaging. Just her demeanor on the screen is also very engaging. Now, in terms of recommendations, the first recommendation, first of all, I have to admit, to be honest, I don't know a lot about Indonesia and the different people. A couple of things would have helped me and maybe could have helped other people. It'd be nice to even see a little map of, you know, of which area you're talking about in Indonesia. And just even to give a little table with the breakdown of the different ethnicities in Indonesia, I would have found that quite fascinating. I think you were saying Batak is 53% of the population or something, but it'd been nice to just have a little map showing which region it's from, and just even showing, you know, the different ethnic groups that are in Indonesia. I think that would have really made it would have been fascinating, would have added to the story more. The other thing I think that might have helped was you to tell a personal story. I know, for example, you say you went to the wedding and you were surprised by how big it was. Maybe you could have just talked a little bit more about what you found, how you found the wedding, how were the people, how was the food, how did you find the whole thing? And I think that would have also been engaging to really hear what it's like to go to one of those weddings. Because I personally, from just the pictures, I want to go to one of those weddings. Because it just looks so interesting and fascinating. And I'd love to have learned more about those about that wedding. So in summary, yeah, I thought it was a really effective, engaging speech. You know, Melva is just an engaging speaker, very conversational, so easy to listen to, and just maybe some more information about Indonesia, like a map and some figures, maybe a personal story. But I really enjoyed the speech, and I'm looking forward to hearing another speech from Melva. Thank you.
Okay, great job. I believe we've had an efficacious evaluations today that people could learn from the feedback given for both of those. I'm trying to I'm beating Michelle out for using word of the day today. Next into our evaluation portion is our grammarian, or should I go? I'm going to go ahead and let the all counter and timer go first so they have an opportunity to use word of the day. So first I'll call upon our ah counter, Aya Anantaya, sorry, Ayu for your ah report.
Okay, today is actually congratulations to Roseburg speaker and storytellers. Not so many of us is actually using the filler words. Most of us using the pause. And I just found several, like it's really not disrupting. I have not one person, but this is a guest. So I will just say, once you go through your speech, please use, here in Toastmasters, we learn how to use pause rather than doing the and And I guess I will just go for the timer report a little bit. Everybody is actually pretty good. Only Melva is work 7 minutes 58 seconds. So it's more than the allotted time, but I do just posting in the chat box all the timing of every speaker. Back to you, Mary, General Evaluator.
Okay, thank you, Ayu, for your counter report and your timer report. And last, I'd like to call upon our grammarian to tell us how we used the word of the day today and our grammatical structures, how we did as a grammarian. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Madam General Evaluator. Start off with the word of the day, efficacious. And I think that me putting it as my name and also turning my screen off paid off, because it was used actually quite a few times today. And it's not exactly the easiest word, it is quite an esoteric word. So absolutely, Mary was the winner today. I believe Mary used it 3 or 4 times, so congratulations, Mary. I also heard one usage from Christina. I heard one usage from Yasmin. And I heard one usage verbally from Tiger, and Tiger also used it once in the chat box as well. So thank you very much to all of you for using what is actually quite a challenging word of the day. In terms of the grammar, I'll start off with things that I heard that I liked and stood out to me. From Tiger, nice use of repetition. Come in, use your facial expressions. Come in. Of course, emphasizing that by then enacting body language with that use of repetition, which was highly effective as a rhetorical device, I thought. Also, I really like this from Federico because for me it was an interesting choice of word. She was a very exotic woman. Now, usually if someone was to describe somebody as an exotic woman, it wouldn't be in the context of keeping an interesting type of animal, shall we say. I suppose, though, that that word can be used in that context, and so that was a very interesting choice of word, which I think might reflect the difference of the cultures that are all here present, but it can be used in English as well. It's just wouldn't usually be used in that way. So I like that from Federico as well. And also from Ram, repetition and alliteration when evaluating Melva's speech, said the costume, the colourful costume, which I believe was deliberate and was very much in there to, again, use that descriptive visual element. And there were, of course, lots of visual elements in Melva's speech. And I believe that Ram was incorporating that into his evaluation. Some areas for improvement, and unlike the things that I like, I'm not going to name the people individually. So here are 4 things that I heard that could be either made better or corrected for next time. First one was use pause in your speech. There should be use pauses in your speeches. This has to be plural in the context that was said. So make sure that you use plural, not singular. I heard there are other ways about going about humor. This is correct, but you could say there are other ways to incorporate humor because there are other ways about going about humor might not necessarily roll off the tongue in the best way and it might sound a bit wordy. This house like a hut would need to be this house is like a hut. Remember to include the word is. And also, I enjoy to live here, which should be I enjoy living here. I enjoy to live here. Unfortunately, it doesn't make sense. Although I understand what it means, it's not grammatically correct. So you would need to say I enjoy living here instead. However, that being said, I'm always very impressed with everybody who speaks a second language. I do not, and it cannot be easy to think in another language and to speak in another language. And so I take my hat off to you. I'm not wearing one, but pretend I am. And it's very important, I think, to acknowledge the fact that people put in a huge amount of effort in order to come to Toastmasters and speak a language which is not their native tongue. So congratulations to you all. This was a very, very efficacious meeting. I think I've used that correctly. And I turn control back to Madam General Evaluator.
Okay, thank you, Chris. I believe is that. Well, I thank you to all those that participated in the meeting today. My general evaluation of the meeting was it was an excellent meeting, certainly a fun way to spend an hour or so. I learned a lot about pandas today, and I attribute that to our Toastmaster today, Christina. She used the theme and weaved it throughout the meeting, giving us lots of interesting facts. And I also got some facts from Shilpa as the topics master, and she expanded on the pandas and brought it into all the animals. I particularly like that wheel. So that's I'm going to steal that idea, Shilpa. That is a wonderful way to do table topics. I've never seen that before. So well done. I really enjoyed that. If I could make a suggestion about table topics, though, there was a lot of pause, like, does anybody want to take it? May I suggest in a future during table topics, we want everyone in the meeting to have an opportunity to speak, but particularly our members. And some, I wasn't sure who were guests, who were members, but I believe there were some members that didn't have a role. I would write down those members that didn't have a role and just make sure I would call on them for table topics so that they had an opportunity to speak at the meeting. Sometimes people are a little leery about, yeah, I'll do it. But if you say, this next one's for you, it pulls them out of their comfort zone and gets them speaking, which is why they join Toastmasters. So if I could give that suggestion, choose people instead of leaving it open. And then also offer guests. Guests, this one's for you. Would one of the guests like to speak? We had a full agenda. We had a lot of participation. I believe the time change messed some of us up. We had a lot of people coming in late today. And so there was a little shuffling of some roles. But I think that was due to the time change. I'm sure that's not the norm here at this meeting. This meeting is just so well run. You all are a model of what a great Toastmaster speech is, a club is. And that's why I joined it, because I just love this club. I love the diversity. I get to talk to people from all over the world sitting from my couch right here in my living room. So it's just such a fun group of people. So thank you all for allowing me to be your general evaluator today, and an excellent meeting by all the people that participated. Back to you, Toastmaster Day, to close out our meeting.
Well, thank you all for your fabulous insights. I think we had a stack of really great evaluations there, and everybody was very, very thorough, including some great ideas from Mary. From my point of view, I absolutely loved Shilpa's wheel, and I wonder if she might put a link into the chat or something so that we might steal it, please, because that was brilliant. But there were so many great aspects for today. So I'd like to have a special thank you to Ayu, because with the daylight savings, I think we were in a little bit of a panic, and she rose to the occasion, as Ayu always does, and chased around people. And we actually had a pretty full meeting in the end, so well done. Special round of applause to Ayu. My final fact on the Panda front today is that in China, they're symbols of peace. And I thought, what a lovely way to end and to hand back to our president, Tiger. So over to you, Tiger.
Thank you so much, Christina. That was a fantastic theme, very enjoyable theme. Excellent job of keeping the meeting moving. As a matter of fact, you were so efficient that we still have 5 more minutes in our meeting. So I would like at this point to get some feedback from our guests who we have not heard from. And Kushi, is it Kushi? Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yeah, for sure.
Could you share with us just a few observations about our meeting today and how your experience was?
Yeah, so like attending this meeting, I really got the insights about how well we can do, and like how well do we have to prepare a speech, and like how the different people are evaluating you and giving you marks. Is that what I feel? I don't know much about this club and what happens over here, but it was being introduced to me by my sister, Shilpa. And yeah, that's all for the insights.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you being here.
And yeah, one thing more, like just the one person said that sitting in the one city or one country, we are able to connect diverse people. So that is also a really good opportunity which is being offered through this club. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. And please, by all means, come back. We would love to have you here again. I see all my members shaking their heads and smiling. So please do come back. Sarah, you got here just a little bit late. Apologize about the whole timing thing. You can blame it on Ben Franklin, but we do appreciate you being here. And you want to share with us what little experience you had today?
Thank you, Tiger. I'm very sad that I came late. I was not aware of this change in the time, but it appears like it was a very good meeting. You had it was fun. It was with a great speeches. So I enjoyed the last minutes, let's say, and I hope I can come again next week.
Excellent. And Sarah, you know, you're always welcome here. Always. We love to have you here. Chandra, how was your experience today, sir?
Yes, mister. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm late. I don't know the time. You changed the schedule, so I asked to Miss Ayu. So because daylight saving time starts yesterday, so I don't know the meaning. What is actually what time the meeting will help?
Okay, so Chandra, in US and some part of the northern part of the world, they have daylight saving time, which means their time is moving 1 hour ahead and back and forth every 6 months. So that's why it starts yesterday, and today our meeting starts like in your time. You are so 9 for you and 10 for me. It's you like last week. It's still 10 for you and 11 for me. So from now on until 6 months only, and it's back again. So welcome to international world. Now we know one more thing, right?
Yeah.
Back to you, Tiger.
We need to shorten that video of IU explaining daylight saving time and send that out to the world so everyone's like, oh, so that's what it's all about. Those people in the northern hemisphere, they want more light. At this point, everyone, thank you so much for coming. I'm happy that most of us were able to negotiate the time change next week. Now everyone knows. Let's go ahead and end this meeting officially. Please stay afterwards. I would love to get more comments from our guests and from our members. So let's go ahead and officially end this meeting on the count of 3. 1, 2, and 3.